Today we'll see the first unit in civics, that is Indian Constitution. So we'll see the introduction part now. The Constitution is the fundamental law of a country which reflects the fundamental principles on which the government of that country is based. It is the vehicle of a nation's progress. The concept of constitution was first originated in USA. So the constitution is a fundamental law of a country that reflects the fundamental principles. That means அது வந்து ஒரு basic principles அதுதான் reflect பண்ணுது. Okay, so for that purpose we are forming this constitution. The need for a constitution. All democratic countries have a constitution that governs them. So this constitution is the guidance of a country. Okay, a constitution puts down certain principles that form the basis of any kind of a state that we as citizens decide to live in. A constitution tells us the fundamental nature of our society. Okay, for our constitution, it is originated from USA. This is very important point and to be asked in the 1 mark questions, and this is the answer for your first 2 mark children. The first 4 making of Indian Constitution. The Constitution of India was framed by a constituent assembly set up under the Cabinet Mission Plan 1946. The assembly consisted of 389 members representing provinces 292, states 93, the chief commissioners provinces 3 and Baluchistan 1. The assembly held its first meeting on December 9, 1946. So first meeting is held on December 9, 1946. Dr. Sachidananda Sinha, the oldest member, was elected as a temporary president. So he is a temporary president of this constitution. While the work was in progress, Dr. Sachidananda Sinha died. Dr. Rajendra Prasad was elected as the president of the assembly. So first Sachidananda Sinha was elected, but after his death Dr. Rajendra Prasad was elected as the president. Similarly, both H.C. Mukherjee and V.T. Krishnamachari were elected as the vice president of the assembly. The assembly met for 11 sessions along with 166 days of meetings. During the discussion, 2473 amendments were presented. Some of them were accepted. So amendments means nothing but the plans. Okay, so some of the plan were accepted. The assembly worked through various committees and the draft of the constitution was prepared by the drafting committee. Okay, under the chairmanship of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. He is recognized as the father of the Indian Constitution. Okay, so B.R. Ambedkar is the father of Indian Constitution. After the draft had been discussed by the people, the press, provincial assemblies and others, the constitution was finally adopted on November 26, 1949. So after many discussion, this constitution is accepted on November 26, 1949. Contained a preamble, 22 parts, 395 articles and 8 schedules. The drafted constitution came into force on 26th January 1950. Okay, this is accepted on November 26, 1949 and it is implemented on 26th January 1950. This day is known as the Republic Day. It is being observed every year. So this day we are celebrating it as a Republic Day. Prem Behari Narain Raisda was the calligrapher of the Indian Constitution. The original constitution was handwritten by him in a flowing italic style. So firstly, this constitution was prepared in a handwritten style, not in a printing. Okay, so handwritten style தான் first prepare பண்ணாங்க. அதை prepare பண்ணது Prem Behari Narain Raisda. Clear children? Next is salient features of Indian Constitution. It is the lengthiest of all the written constitutions of the world. So it is the lengthiest constitution. It has borrowed most of its provisions from the constitution of various countries. So we have borrowed many plans from other countries. It is partially rigid and partially flexible. So many of the plans can be changed and many cannot be changed. Okay, partly rigid and partly flexible. It establishes a federal system of government. Federal means nothing but state and central government. It makes India as a secular state. It provides an independent judiciary. Independent judiciary means independent courts. We are not dependent on any other country. It introduces universal adult franchise and accords the right to vote to all citizens above 18 years of age without any discrimination. So the children, so the adults who are above 18 has the right to vote. Preamble. The term preamble refers to the introduction or preface of the constitution. So it is just a summary of a book. It consists of the ideals, objectives and basic principles of the constitution. It has great value and has been described as the key to the constitution. So preamble is nothing but, so for example, ஒரு புக் இருக்குன்னு வச்சுக்கலாம், ஓகேயா. ஸோ அந்த புக்கில் என்ன இருக்குது அப்படின்றத பற்றியான ஒரு பேசிக் ஒரு கண்டென்ட், ஒரு ஹிண்ட் மாதிரி ஃபஸ்ட்டில் கொடுத்துருப்பாங்க இல்லையா. ஸோ தேட் இஸ் preamble. The preamble to the Indian Constitution is based on the objective resolution which is drafted by Jawaharlal Nehru. So this preamble is created by Jawaharlal Nehru, which was adopted by the Constituent Assembly on January 22, 1947. It has been amended once by the 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act of 1976, which added 3 new words. Okay, so it is adopted on January 22, 1947. It has been amended once. Amended means corrected. Okay, so first வந்து இதை correct பண்ணியிருக்காங்க by the 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act of 1976. So what is corrected here is 3 new words is added into the constitution. We'll see the 3 words now. The new words are socialist, secular and integrity. The preamble begins with the phrase we the people of India. So it begins with this word. Okay, so thus we can say that the people of India are the source of the constitution. So people who are living in the country, who are living in India, are the source of this constitution. The preamble of our constitution states that India is a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. Okay, so what this constitution state is, India is a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic country. So நம்ம வந்து என்ன சொல்கிறோம், நம்ம நாடு வந்து ஒரு இறையாண்மை உள்ள, ஒரு சமூக நலம் உள்ள, ஒரு மக்களாட்சி உள்ள, ஒரு சுதந்திரமான ஒரு நாடு அப்படின்னு சொல்கிறோம். ஓகே, it is aim is to secure to all Indian citizens social, economic and political justice. ஸோ எல்லாத்துலேயுமே வந்து இண்டிபெண்டன்ஸ் இருக்கணும், எல்லாத்துலேயும் ஈக்குவாலிட்டி இருக்கணும் அப்படின்னு சொல்கிறாங்க இந்த கான்ஸ்டியூஷனில். Clear children? Next heading is citizenship. The word citizen is derived from the Latin term civis. So this word citizen is derived from the Latin word which is civis. It means resident of a city state. So the citizens, the meaning of this word citizen is the resident of a city state. The Constitution of India provides for a single and uniform citizenship for the whole of India. Articles 5 to 11 under part 2 of the Constitution deals with the citizenship. Okay, so article 5 to 11 denotes about this citizenship. Citizenship Act 1955. The Citizenship Act of 1955 provides for acquisition and loss of citizenship after the commencement of the Constitution. This has been amended so far 8 times. Okay, so the Citizenship Act 1955, what it tells is it provides for the acquisition and loss of citizenship. Okay, now we'll see the acquisition of citizenship. Acquisition is nothing but நம்ம வந்து சிட்டிசன்ஷிப்பை வந்து எப்படி நம்ம வந்து வாங்கலாம், எப்படி நம்மளுக்கு கிடைக்கிது அப்படின்னு பற்றி சொல்கிறோம். ஓகே, ஸோ அக்கார்டிங் டு த சிட்டிசன்ஷிப் ஆக்ட் 1955, the citizenship could be acquired through any of the following methods. So இந்த மெத்தட்ஸ் வச்சு நம்மளுக்கு வந்து சிட்டிசன்ஷிப் கிடைக்கும். Okay, we'll see the first method, by birth. So all persons born in India on or after January 26, 1950 are treated as citizens by birth. Okay, so all the peoples who are born in India on or after 26 January 1950 are treated as Indian citizens. by descent. A person born outside India on or after January 26, 1950 shall be a citizen of India by descent if his father is a citizen of India at the time of his birth. Okay, if a person is born outside the India, okay, on or after January 26, 1950, he can be a citizen of India. How he can be a citizen of India is if his father is a citizen of India. So அவங்க அப்பா வந்து இந்தியன் சிட்டிசனாக இருந்தார் அப்படின்னா அந்த குழந்தை வந்து இந்தியாவுக்கு வெளியில் வேறு எங்கேயாச்சும் பிறந்தாலும் அதுக்கு இந்தியன் சிட்டிசன்ஷிப் கிடைக்கும். Clear children? By registration. A person can acquire citizenship of India by registration with appropriate authority. Okay, a person can acquire the citizenship by the registration with the appropriate authority. By naturalization. By naturalization. A foreigners can acquire Indian citizenship on application for naturalization to the government of India. So foreigners can also acquire this Indian citizenship by the application to the government of India. Let's see the fifth point. By incorporation of territory. In the event of a certain territory being added to the territory of India, the government of India shall specify the persons of that territory who shall be citizen of India. So for example, if a territory is added to the territory of India, okay, so if the added territory has there no, so the people belongs to that territory can also get the citizenship of India. Clear children? Then laws of citizenship. The Citizenship Act of 1955 prescribes 3 ways of losing citizenship, whether acquired under the act or prior to it under the constitution. So via renunciation, termination and deprivation. So we'll see the first point. It can be voluntarily renounced by the citizen. ஸோ ஒரு சிட்டிசன் வந்து வாலண்டியராகவே எனக்கு இந்த சிட்டிசன்ஷிப் வேணாம் அப்படின்னு சொல்லலாம். ஸோ அது மூலமாக அவங்களுக்கு வந்து citizenship loss ஆகலாம். So this is the first point. The second point is it can be terminated if a person acquires the citizenship of some other country. So if a person who belongs to India, who has the citizenship of India, acquires the citizenship of other country, then the citizenship of India should be cancelled. The third point is the central government can deprive a naturalized citizen if it satisfied that the citizenship was acquired by fraud, false representation or concealment of material facts or indulge in trade with enemy countries, or if the person has been sentenced to imprisonment for a period of 2 years. So this central government can deprive their natural citizen. So how it can cancel the citizenship is if a citizenship is acquired by a fraudulent or a false representation, or a person has to be imprisonment for a period of 2 years, then the citizenship can be cancelled automatically. The next point is fundamental rights. The fundamental rights are enshrined in part 3 of the Constitution from articles 12 to 35. So the fundamental rights are declared in the articles from 12 to 35. In this regard, the framers of the Constitution derived inspiration from the Constitution of USA. So this is also concept also originated from USA. Originally, the Constitution provides for 7 fundamental rights. At present, there are only 6. So 7 rights are there, but now only 6 fundamental rights are implemented. Part 3 of the Constitution is rightly described as the Magna Carta of India. So it is described as Magna Carta of India. While fundamental rights are available to all persons, certain fundamental rights are available only to Indian citizens. Okay, so we'll see the next para. Right to constitutional remedies. Article 32. A writ is an order or command issued by a court in writing under its seal. So what is a writ? It is a 2-mark question, that is 4th 2-mark question. A writ is an order. So it is an order or a command which is issued by court under writing its seal. It is in the nature of a command or prohibition from performing certain acts that are specified in the orders of the court. Both the Supreme Court and the High Courts are empowered to issue 5 kinds. So both the Supreme Court and High Courts are empowered to issue 5 kinds of writs. So that is why Supreme Court is called the guardian of the Constitution. So according to Dr. Ambedkar, Article 32 is the heart and soul of the Constitution. Let's see the 5 kind of writs now. So first one is habeas corpus, safeguards people from illegal arrest. So this writ safeguard people from the illegal arrest. Okay. Second one is mandamus, it protects the petitioner who requires legal help to get his work done by respective public authorities. So what is the meaning of this writ is, that is mandamus means, so if a person want to do a work in government office or in a public office, so he can file a petition, then his work can be done by the respective public authorities. Okay, so இப்போ வந்து அவங்களுக்கு ஒரு வேலை வந்து நடக்கல, கவர்மெண்ட் ஆஃபீஸில் நடக்கல அப்படின்னா அவங்க ஒரு பெட்டிஷன் ஃபைல் பண்ணலாம். ஸோ வந்து கோர்ட் வந்து அதுக்கு ஒரு ரிட் ஃபைல் பண்ணுவாங்க. ஸோ அந்த ரிட்னால அந்த பப்ளிக் அத்தாரிட்டி வந்து அந்த வேலையை அவங்களுக்கு செஞ்சு கொடுக்கணும். ஓகே, ஸோ திஸ் இஸ் தி செகண்ட் திங், தட் இஸ் மேண்டமஸ். தி தேர்ட் ஒன் இஸ் ப்ரொஹிபிஷன். So it prohibits a subordinate court from acting beyond its jurisdiction. Okay, so it prohibits a subordinate court. Subordinate court means which is below to the high court. Okay, so அந்த கோர்ட் வந்து ஹை கோர்ட்டை தாண்டி எந்த ஜூரிஸ்டிக்ஷனும் அவங்க பண்ணக்கூடாது அப்படின்றது தான் இந்த ஆக்ட், தட் இஸ் ப்ரொஹிபிஷன். Fourth one is certiorari. It quashes an order issued by a subordinate court by overstepping its jurisdiction. Fifth one is quo warranto. It prevents usurpation of public office through illegal manner. ஸோ அதாவது ஒரு சில பப்ளிக் ஆஃபீஸர்ஸ் இருப்பாங்க, அவங்க வந்து ஸோ இந்த ஆஃபீஸே வந்து எங்கள் கண்ட்ரோலில் தான் இருக்குது, ஸோ அந்த மாதிரி அவங்க ஆக்குபை பண்ணிப்பாங்க இல்லையா, ஸோ அதெல்லாம் வந்து ஸ்டாப் பண்ணுறதுக்காக இந்த ஆக்ட்.